Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the
Yeah, now I'm back. Sir, replays. Thank you for following. We had the power go out here in the village of Mount Solon, Virginia, 102.3. I find them and deal with them as I can. But not everything is on battery backup, so it turns off. 102.3 FM, the village of Mount Solon, Virginia. You can see it too, DLive.tv/MadWorld. When you're at MadWorld, go to the About section off of DLive.tv, and the library is on your right. So, the NF AC militia shot 3 people on the steps in Louisville and controlled the situation and left. That's impressive. That is a military action. He is absolutely right. That is a proof of strength, dominance, and they're in control. So he got so mad. The J leader. There we go. Oh no. Okay. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. Gotta listen to the chirps. Let's see. You can chirps via static. Chirps via Thank you, Channel 7. CB Channel 7, 102.3 FM, transmitting for the land of the free. Freedom. And that's where it's at, man. Freedom. That's where it's at. So, I find it a big deal that these guys killed somebody. So, everybody needs to pound NFAC in the village, read all the different comments, the takeaways from it, pay attention. That guy called the Black Nation to muster. Then they rallied at the Capitol, at the steps. And I don't know if downtown Louisville, nobody tells me if it's, no. Louisville's not the capital of Kentucky. I think Lexington. All right, if you're on the DLive.tv/MadWorld page in the village here, you can see my search. This service is provided for those who are too afraid to search, or who have limited funds. Somebody on Channel 7. 3 victims sent to hospital after gun discharge during NFAC. All right. So they shot 3 people. All right. 3 people were sacrificed. The police did not start shooting them. None of us shot them. In other words, me. I didn't go down there and shoot them. And if you were there from the village of Mount Solon, Virginia, thank you for your service. But they were positioned throughout the United States also. The black nation is bigger than what we saw there. Now, what's kind of interesting, I watched this leader Jay's videos ahead of time, and he sure had an emotional roller coaster. Then he got down there, threatened everybody in the world, and told them to fuck off, and they're owed something. They're worried about arresting some police officers. And then they showed everybody down there in Louisville that they could shoot 3 people and extract them. And they just handed them over to the hospital system. I imagine the police are on them. So, and he said he would shoot people that he believed that were spies. So if he didn't, I imagine he spent the time during the muster, before they marched, getting to know them all. Then he chose 3 patsies and shot them. Yep, 3. Heavily armed militia and FAC joined protests in downtown Louisville. That's not a protest. You have the right to assemble. Absolutely. There's no right to protest. You have a right to assemble. You got to do it, murmur, murmur, murmur. Yeah. All you're allowed to do is mull around and go murmur, murmur, murmur. Murmur. So 102.3 FM, the village of Mount Solon. It is now at 72 degrees and requires about 35 minutes of HVAC to maintain. So I broke the 50% of the hour threshold for maintaining the temperature. For those who care, for those who know. There's the beast starting up again. You hear him in the background. So, flash news, NFAC. 102.3 FM, the village of Mount Solon, Virginia. We're going to institute Monday open mics. So if you come down here to the square and stand in front of the plate glass window here, we'll get you a mic and we'll talk. Open mic time. Anybody got something to say? 102.3 FM, the village of Mount Solon. Monday open mics. Yes. You could call in too. If I was not so lazy, I would give you the 800 number and then the conference room code. But in order to get that, you got to come down and hit the open mic first. You have to audition to get into the conference. I'm instituting an NFAC. All right. Channel 7 is out of control. I'm going to have to ban Channel 7. They just can't stop. Can't control themselves. They're stomping on me. I gave them space. I gave them plenty of space. There we go. Now I've got that little click of a background noise. And somebody comes in with some real gain, we're going to hear it. Everybody in the village, Mount Solon, has got their scanners on, using sideband, using marine radio. Anything and everything to make it happen. Home. Yeah. Oh man, so much construction going on in the village of Mount Solon, Virginia, you can barely hear what's going on. Listen to that. There you go. Check back soon. The New Virginia plan. Heard about it on the David Knight show when he was filling in for the Alex Jones show. Did an interview with the guy, Middle Virginia freeholders. Now, Middle Virginia freeholders. I guess that's probably Culpeper County. So you got to have sheriffs who are going to give shade to this if it's going to survive. And what they're doing is that they're saying, since the sanctuary cities number so much, and we have an unimaginable amount of voter fraud going on in Virginia, each county is controlled by the circuit judge, and whoever they, I don't know how they appoint the registrars. Anyway, I haven't drilled that far down. That's not a mask. That's a napkin. I want to thank everybody who thinks that wearing a dirty nappy helps everybody. Only if you're collecting Social Security and you die. So if you're creating a bacterial storm for yourself because you know it's the patriotic thing to do to no longer collect Social Security, I honor you. Thank you. My children, thank you. The free breathing world thanks you. FM 102.3, the village of Mount Solon, Virginia. I can turn up CB. There we go. Got a lot of I use a gate. And since there's no background level noise, it's not stomping on the gate. Once it opens up, again, 102.3, the village of Mount Solon, Virginia. Monday, open mic. Somebody else is running their show right now. No taxation for maladministration. The New Virginia plan. I did a glancing on it. I joined. I logged in. I joined the plan. So I'm in the plan. It says you can join. It says sign up with email, sign up with Facebook or Google, join the site's community, read more. Okay, I went ahead and did that. I couldn't leave any comments. So right now, I haven't been admitted to the New Virginia Plan. NewVirginiaPlan.com. Heard about it on the Alex Jones show last Friday. Everybody's making hay while they can right now. I understand. Construction people are booked out. As soon as I think I can get somebody in here, right now in September. In September might be too late. The same people who told you Donald Trump was going to lose to Hillary Clinton are the same people telling you that Biden's going to beat Donald Trump. And they're also telling you that Donald Trump is going to leave the White House, whether he knows it or not, and they're going to fumigate the White House, and that continuation of government briefings are occurring, and Nancy Pelosi has been told she is number 2. Now, that's a good joke because, you know, if she really believes that continuity of government is behind her and the same people who are telling us that Biden's going to win, right? And since Donald Trump said that everything right now, ever since they went ahead and appointed Mueller, Donald Trump made it clear to the world and to you here in the village of Mount Solon, Virginia, if you took the time to understand and read his tweets and understand the words he uses, you would know that everything is nothing more than what you see on TV as a wrestling match. Now the question is, did Vince McMahon co-write this production with Donald Trump? Yeah, he has The Apprentice. And, you know, he did appear with Vince McMahon. I think they did a WrestleMania type pay-per-view. And if he was smart, he did it in his hotel. I don't know. So Nancy Pelosi's been told she's number 2. And that's the biggest joke in the world because we all know what number 1 is and number 2 is. But everybody, she's number 2 after the president. But she would be number 3, third president in this term. So, of course she's number 2. And she believes that continuity of government will stand behind her mob rule. The mob has taken over mind control. Mind control. You can sign up. New Virginia Plan. I went ahead and signed up with email. And I'm not going to... already a member? Log in. There we go. So let me... oh, it doesn't... see, their website keeps everything behind a script. Maybe that's higher level of... it's a higher level of encryption. Send this page. Oh. I can send this to devices. You can't see it. I got it cropped. Yeah. They have a mission statement. It's a PDF. It's 1 page long. Yeah. I just printed it. Let's see. The call to form the Virginia Congress of Counties. Well, I do believe that they have rules. As we watched our state government degrade after several decades from what has now been discovered as a concerted effort by the Republican Party to hand over the reins of power to the Democrat Party. Wow. Hey, Emmett! Are you a part of that? Now, Emmett Hanger is part of Middle Virginia. He's Culpeper County. Culpeper County has a sheriff who has put the call out last week for volunteers to vet people to be deputy sheriffs or auxiliary deputy sheriffs. Well, whatever it is that you're gonna have to be on call, and you get a badge. Now, if you don't have a badge without going to his office for each instance, or you need to show up, and then a deputy hands out badges. Yeah, I don't need no stinking badge. But he did it under the guise of protecting everybody's rights to own high caliber, high functioning weapons. Because the communists, the same people who told you that Virginia was a majority communist state, saw the writing on the wall on 120. 120 showed that people who own guns in Virginia would willingly walk into a cage, say their piece, and then walk out of the cage. Now, that's very interesting. It was a very high tens of thousands number. They actually told the governor and his administration that all the counties own the comms. Okay? Owning the comms is the high ground. You ever tried to outrun the comms? Yeah, you can do it if you're in the hills and you got places to hide, and you got enough distance between them and visualization. But the comms, everybody hits a point and starts working their way in, right? Same way that people hunt bear, they hunt coon. If you've got comms, you can hunt in a group. So they told the governor they own the comms. Now, all those municipalities that voted for freedom, they're going to have to give shade to the new freedom. And I don't know that you can actually, if you want to as a county, allow interlopers to talk for you at this Middle Virginia Association of Freeholders. You better work with the council and the sheriff and create the bureaucracy to support this. But unfortunately, every county has an attorney, and all attorneys are liars. They have to give up their bar. See, if anybody holds sway over somebody's position from an outside source, they're in charge. And there's supposed to be the three top officers of every county is county manager, manager of, commissioner of the zoning, and then the attorney. Those are the three top officers. So those right there are the ones, their administration, and they work with the governor. Because they're the ones who interact and get the check from the governor, and the governor gets the check from the United States. And so all money collected makes its way through the system into Richmond. And I'm not talking about where Emmett Hanger sits. I'm talking about the bank there, the Richmond Reserve. So flashback to Saturday, NFAC musters their leader in leadership, choose 3 patsies, or discovered 3 infiltrators. And when he gave the signal from the steps, they shot him. Then everybody else said, get down outside of the formation. So the formation, and then there was the outside the formation. They told everybody get down. And then they all went to one knee. And then they extracted the wounded. Then he, I guess, went back to yammering. I didn't listen to the entire speech. I caught the beginning of it. I saw what it was. I did not care. And I went out, to quote Stexhammer, to do real life. The LARPing was over for me. That was Saturday. Update, NFAC militia marches into downtown Louisville to protest handling. They didn't protest. They went in and acquired land, shot 3 people, and left. They proved that they could maintain a crowd in Louisville. And the police did not jump. Nobody else jumped. Oh, after threatening everybody, they set a 4-week ultimatum. So they demonstrated military tactics, went in there, shot 3 people, and said, you got 4 weeks to finish AG Cameron. So that's an implied threat, AG Cameron. What? You're going to fight anyway. You know. It is a good day to die, to quote our favorite Klingon. It is a good day to die. Yes, it is. Breonna Taylor, Breonna. I don't care about Breonna Taylor at this point. Everything is heading sideways already. And these people are the Black Nation. There they are. New limited edition Black Nation. Right there. There they are, the Black Nation. The babies are red. Yeah. Oh. WDRB.com. Here. I'm sticking it up into the library for everybody so you know about it. And it's just NFAC. 4 weeks. AG. Cameron. Cameron. Well, in Bueller's day off, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Cameron was a pussy until the end. Here we go. There they are. That's who they are. Members. Look at them all in black in a hot day. That's not too tactical. It's where you can turn the lights off, I guess it's tactical. But I guess if they're hiding in a crawl space, you won't see them. Boom. Here he is, the leader, with his boonie hat on. I think some people are wearing hearing protection. There they are on the steps of something. Pictures are being taken. They said at first there was heat exhaustion. So when I stopped watching when the person reporting said that somebody collapsed from heat exhaustion. There we go. Everybody's giving them plenty of distance. They actually set up barriers to keep you away from their formation. You know, right. Did they get a permit? Who paid for those barriers where they mustered? That was very kind of them. Remove odors naturally. Odors. Remove them naturally. Odorstop.com. Equipped with a UV light for additional sanitizing power. It eliminates most severe odors. And it's O3. Ozone 3. Air goes through a charcoal filter, gets that first step, reduces VOC. Then it goes through the blue light mixed with ozone. So that air that comes out of there is pretty clean. Then you use that air to concentrate oxygen from, right? Because you've got 3 oxygen molecules available. And then what you do is you run it through a sieve, S-V-I-E-V-E, of zeolite. And what comes through that, after it goes through that, you have to, that's the good oxygen. And then you have to periodically, and then after you pull some through it, you have to reverse the order with some of the good oxygen. So you have to produce enough good oxygen to fill the container when the pump, and then also fill a reservoir of good oxygen, and then you pump that good oxygen on the downstroke in the reverse through the sieve, and that gets rid of all the contaminants. So push-pull. influent, effluent, and then it breathes. So it pumps like a when water pushes a pump in, and then it goes forward again. Ramjet, ram pump. So it works like a ram pump. That's a ram pump, man. Freedom. That's where it's at. If anybody was listening to 102.3 FM last night, I put in an hour of Mark Passio before the InfoWars show. And Mark Passio is now officially illiberal. Illiberal. He is not tolerant at all. Very mad, very upset. Liberal, illiberal, not tolerant. Also means not Catholic. Catholic means Christianity universally. So an illiberal is somebody who's not Christian. So all Christians are supposed to be liberal. Liberal. So if you're a Christian, you're supposed to be a liberal. That means tolerant. But you don't have a duty to be a victim. Let's just hope your tolerance doesn't lead you to being a victim. That would be sad. But there is a war against Christians. China has upped its war on Christianity. Now we'll move on. That was the commercial. Ooh, a lot of space. They have a tape. They actually have the police officers in a taped off area. And then the police officers are surrounded by armed men. So the police officers all willingly got in a cage. That's some scary ass shit. I can't tell. There's water bottles laying all over the ground. Outside of the cage, there's no water bottles on the ground. Some of the officers are wearing masks. The NFAC got themselves some swine in a cage. They're all taped off. I think it's a police line. The police have shown their dominance. Not. They didn't show any dominance, my friends. They're in a cage. But it's a Polish firing squad. Because if those guys actually had a brain and a half, they'd probably clear out the area. They have to clear out, one good side, and then within their group, only one group would fire. So you got there. Make sure, but there's a tree there, so you clear out everybody away from that tree, so that tree will catch the bullets. And then you got your firing squad where they could have executed those willing participants, the police. And I don't think they have guns. And if they do, they just have hand cannons. None of them are strapped up. They're in a police disarmament zone. So the Louisville mayor acquiesced to all this. It's too bad that they didn't show up with equal firepower. Policia. Man, I'm glad I'm not a bondsman. Jesus. To be a police officer, that's insane. I bet that made every single officer in that pen here so comfortable to know that these people are able to shoot 3 people and extract them. And you guys were all caught in a pen. That means they would have had to fight their way out of there, but I think they could have done it pretty easily. The only question is anybody guarding their cars? So they would have to have enough people to control the scene from there to their cars, and then from their cars, well, good luck outrunning the comms. But they put a whole bunch of sacrificial police in a pen. Yeah. If you want to see these images, all you have to do is go to DLive, that's the letter D, live.tv/Mad World, all one word. And you go to the About tab below the video, and to the right is the library. And in that library, you should be able to see everything that I put out here on DLive.tv. And when I'm not on it, I catalog everything that is of interest to the village in there. So it's your library. This is what separates us from apes, is our libraries. Not Facebook, because Facebook will take away your library in a moment. You need a third repository for information. So the first in the library here at the village of Mount Solon is NFAC leaders. It says group is demanding AG Cameron finish Breonna Taylor investigation in 4 weeks. Or we won't just come shoot 3 of our people and show you we can do it. We will shoot, or we will get you AG Cameron. And they're not going to muster and go to the square here. They're going to muster and go get the AG, and that probably the police officers involved. So I don't know, or else we'll shit in our hand and see what happens first. See if you fill your hand up with shit first. FBI hunts for Chinese military spies all across the United States as Pompeo calls for global crusade. Yep, that's RT.com. Link to that is in the library. It's groups.diigo.com/group/one word MOUNTSOLON, Mount Solon, not the abbreviation. The whole word, Mount Solon. A New Virginia website, which I heard about on the Alex Jones show on Friday. It was in the second hour. They dragged a 20-minute clip out of it, and it's on band.tv. I guess I should put that in there. So let's go to band.tv and link that. I did not do it. Band video. Band.video. Wah. And here's the Alex Jones show. Wah. Oh, he's going to yammer. Let me see how fast I can turn him off.
You mean they're doing 100 times the testing? And
See, Alex Jones actually does a 6-hour show, and they just double the speed. And by the time you, that's why he doesn't do call-ins. He has to slow the show down and do the call-ins. He hits you with twice as much information by playing the video and the audio at twice the speed. Yeah, you didn't know the deep tricks. Now you do. Dark agenda, tyrannical lockdowns. I'm looking for the New Virginia laws enable a leftist coup of elections.
There are so many of these crazy laws now that there will never be a so-called Republican to run the state.
Yeah, and your suspicion was, and I think it's likely true, that they're really, they're kind of the controlled opposition, the GOP at this point. They were kind of halfway pushing toward this, and we've talked about that a couple of times. I've mentioned it a couple of times on air. You've been on air talking about that. So now they're going to put candidates up in every one of these jurisdictions, but it still really isn't going to happen, is it?
That's right. When they lose, they'll turn around and say, well, you see, it doesn't matter if we put somebody in the race or not. We know where we can win, and Virginia is all blue. Mm-hmm. That's just not the case.
Yeah. All I had to do is hear that, and I knew that this guy has got his head screwed on straight, because I did the investigations. I went and looked into what was going on. I looked at the graphs, because that's how high-level people work. We look at graphs, and then we use the graphs to do our investigation, to check the accuracy of the graph. All right. Election meddling. Yeah, that's a good one for it. I'm going to put that one in too. Election. Yeah. Why is it doing that? Is that feedback? Somebody's pulling my stuff. So, yeah, everything is spiked. Spiked, I tell you. So spiked. Hello. Can you hear me? 8:56, 8:55. Let me see. 8:55 a.m. Good old July 27th, 2020 of the new. It's actually year 0. Virginia. New. Overthrow coups, election, law. Yeah, well, law is owned by the Bar Association. And you can ask any lawyer who owns the law. They'll tell you it's Westlaw, right? You need to, I think we, the people, own it, and the people who provide us, providing a service? No. They're enriching themselves on our own law and our precedents. So they own all the legal opinions. And the only way to get it is to get the annotated law. And that's the job of the county attorney. He keeps the annotated law for the county. That's why there's supposed to be 3 sets of law books in the county. There's one for the legislative, one for the administration, and one for the county attorney. And the county attorney keeps the annotated law. And you want to piss them off? Go in there and ask to look at the annotated law the county attorney keeps. They do not want to share that book, because what that does is it's how they get over on you and me, and they catalog all the excuses and how they and the propaganda they used in court to convict people. The annotated law is kept at county level at the county attorneys, and that's kept from you. That should be that book should be published, the annotated law. But see, at that point, there would be an instantaneous Democratic vote of, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense what he's saying there, and put an end to that theft or that trespass. But see, if you don't know what the annotated county code is, or what the annotated ordinance is, that you're crippled. And that's all should be, that book right there should be PDF'd every court case he writes in it. So when he writes his notes into that book after a circuit court or whatever, whenever he writes in it has to be updated. That's what he had to do every day, update those pages, and we get to keep the history of them. Got to have a history of it so we know, hey, look, this is what the county attorney did to so and so. But see, democracy lives in the dark. The mob rules over you by keeping what they are doing in the dark. Washington Post is making fun of the Republicans. Democracy dies in the dark. No, democracy dies in the light. If real democracy is that we all go down to the courthouse, we vouch for each other, and we elect somebody to handle our affairs and to protect our life, liberty, and property. And as soon as they trespass or they give themselves an exemption, we assemble again and perform democracy. And say, we elect to remove this guy because he has trespassed. And he would be very lucky that he hasn't been tarred and feathered. And if he knew he was going to try to trespass on somebody, he'd be trespassing and running out the door. Right now, 102.3 FM. You too can come to the square. It's open mic Mondays. The mic will be open until I will close it at 9:45 a.m. So you have 45 minutes to get down here and speak your mind. Fortunately or unfortunately, I will interact with you. It is not open mic and me walk away. I will interact. I will welcome you. I'll listen to you. And I will say goodbye to you. Come on down. Smith, please don't put our deputies in any way into one of these pins that Louisville mayor put the police officers in. Stanton Police, you can do whatever you want. Waynesboro Police, you can do whatever you want. I don't know if there's Verona Police. Bridgewater, knock yourself out. Rockingham. So there's Virginia, newvirginia.org. They did update their page. They don't have a, let me see. I need a picture. All right. The tab doesn't have an image. It's an imageless tab. The New Virginia Plan, can be found at newvirginiaplan.com. They have a mission statement, which is the call to form. They have a declaration of dissolution. They have addendum for choosing delegates, report on election irregularities, homeschool support. You know, that is the first step to success, is that the buildings that we have in the county here in Augusta County should be available to any one of us and that we can go in and use and teach from. And if you have a week-long course, you should be able to book it for that time, and we'll deal with it being overbooked when we get to that situation. But we should start opening it up, and then the people who stay there are the custodians. That's it. Custodians. And the head custodian is going to do labor along with the apprentice custodian. And that'll be our first apprenticeship, is how to be a custodian of a building. And hopefully each one of the buildings will have its HVAC, the electrical, and the plumbing. So everybody will learn how to do it. We'll have the law being taught. Children, the same children are learning plumbing, are the same children who should be learning the law. Learn it all. And you pick and choose if you want to specialize in something. Now, the new Virginia plan, homeschool support, homeshul support, shul, homeshul, SCHOOL. Now there should be also. I haven't taken the time to read all this yet, so everybody, it's up to you to read it too. But there's one thing that has to go on, because I did see a quick guarantee of support for bureaucracy. And the reason we're in this situation is we allowed bureaucracy to oversee the corporations. And they rely on the corporations for their retirement. So there's a huge conflict of interest. But anyway, we can set up a money system that will be the Virginian. And if you get a Virginian, that means that you're performing a community service, and you go spend it at the corporations, and we'll suck from the corporations the tithing for doing business in Virginia. And yep. So as long as we have somebody who's an egghead, and we control the velocity of the currency, and corporations aren't persons. They don't have standing. A corporation can't have standing because there's nobody responsible. Only people can have standing. And we got to take back our courts away from Satan and his minions, who are creating fictions and imbuing them with rights. That's a fraud. Necromancy. That's what they used to call it. Necromancy. Yeah, people who talk to the dead. Necromancy. And so the United States of America is practicing necromancy on the largest altar available, and that's where you go and do business. So if we're going to have necromancy, why are we giving our energy to somebody outside of Virginia? We shouldn't. Virginians should be owning their energy. The way that you flow society on paper and you talk about it is the same way electricians and people who work in electronics diagram and control currency and energy and strength of energy. We can't allow corporations in Virginia. So I don't know what the new Virginia plan. You can't take less poison and expect to survive. So we have to go back to being the good people of Virginia. We can either take it over through the New Virginia Plan or somehow at the county level enforce our will where we deal with the trespass. Now, the way I see it is if you want to be a governor or something, you go file a court case in the circuit court, and then everybody who wants you to handle their affairs will go sign an affidavit and elect you for it. It's the power of attorney. We can't have secret votes and then one group say, "Oh, we're in charge. You gave us power of attorney," because that's what they're claiming is power over your soul. You know? Now, the governor does have control of all corporations, but he can't do anything outside of controlling those corporations if the president says don't, because the necromancy is top down. From the federal side, they've allowed the states to practice necromancy. And the president is the ultimate in charge of every corporation in the United States of America. So for every municipality that creates corporations, or every business license, if he says you can't trespass on the business license, then you can't. He's ultimately in charge of his corporation. And right now, according to the rules, they have the same standing as live people. So, you know, we have the good people, and then we have the necromancies, the evil people. Anybody participating in necromancy is not live. They're claiming to talk to evil, to dead, the opposite of live, evil. You want to know what the Satanists is how they do it? You take live and you write it out backwards. That's where you get it from. Evil. Live, evil. First, you have to be live, then you choose to be evil. You don't choose to be good. Good people. You have to be live. And then we'll control the velocity and the amount of money given to those who perform in community service. Unless you've got some sort of mental illness that's well recognizable and defiance to we'll take care of you. Families will take care of you. We'll allow you to interact somewhat. No other choice. No other choice. And this will be a FM 102.3 public announcement. Don't be fooled into believing that a cloth mask is going to protect you. If you want protection from nuclear, biological, or chemical weapons, you need to get a military-grade gas mask. And then, while it's available, go to YouTube, learn how to operate that gas mask, and use it to exfiltrate yourself from the situation. If you want to walk around in public all the time, you'll need to have a concentrator or a bottle feeding a suit head like an astronaut has. You can buy one of those oxygen supplemented aircraft face masks, but it won't protect your eyes. So if you actually are afraid of a virus, you need to have your ears oxygenated. There you go, oxygened. You need oxygen in your eyes, oxygen in your nose, and you need to cover up your body because you do absorb through your skin. So, and there is ways for things to transmute through your skin. And if they have any sort of micropenetrant attached to something, it will penetrate your skin. That's how poison ivy works, right? Everybody knows about poison oak. Everybody knows the captain lying. So if you actually believe that the common cold, the flu, the pneumonia is transmutable to you, you need to cover up at the minimum eyes, ears, nose, throat. And you need to have a fresh oxygen and removal system so that you won't get sick. Otherwise, thank you for your service to the good people of Virginia. God tells you that your body is the temple. And if you think protecting God's temple is just wearing a dirty diaper, well, can't fix that kind of person. Fear is not love. So I love this community, the village of Mount Solon, Virginia, and I show it by trying to share what I know. The more of you that are not sick, the more of you that are doing well and are prosperous and are able to hold on to your property and acquire property, the better off I am. I will not be better off in a communist society. So, communist lives in the dark. That's the joke of the Washington Post. Communism lives in the dark. Democracy lives in the dark. Democracy thrives. The NFAC showed you democracy in action. Just like the Chinese sent videos over here prior to the Wuhan landing in Washington, instructing the communists in the United States how to treat the people. They just didn't have enough ventilators. If the greedy people hadn't sold off all the ventilators and reduced the supply of ventilators, because the ventilators went to China and China used them to kill people, and then they just killed them. They welded them in their houses. They had them wearing masks when they were sick, but still those people are out and about and falling down. Because if you're sick and you put on a mask and you exert yourself, goodbye. Because wearing a mask and reducing the amount of oxygen, increasing the amount of CO2, there's studies out there that will show you what it does to your lungs, what it does to your heart, what it does to your mind, your nervous system. And then all this fear porn put out where you guys think that you're wearing a mask and you say, oh, I'm not afraid. I'm just doing it to get along because I know what I have to do. You can't help your body's natural response to restricted breathing. I mean, you can go blow smoke up some other man's ass. You can play necromancy and pretend that because somebody wears a white coat and calls himself doctor that they're telling you the truth, or that they actually know what they're talking about. They don't. And the fact that doctors are being fired and they're converting to nurses who are lower paid, they're able to administer protocols based on a printout shows you the future. You need to watch Idiocracy, America. Idiocracy. Where's your tattoo? Nobody got it because nobody watched that movie. It's too much of a social comment to watch it. Idiocracy. It's just way too much. You know, it's high level, very sophisticated truth telling. Where's your tattoo? The fact that they even said that they had a biometric tattoo that was visible to computers and not to the naked eye. Fucking A. You know? So you're hiding it. It's in the dark. It's hidden. That's why courts aren't open at night. Nothing in the common way should be operating at night. So the NFAC proved, if you're just tuning in at 102.3 FM, the Village of Mount Sullivan, Virginia, the NFAC proved that they could shoot people, extract them, and walk away. Now, they didn't keep the shot people. That would be really, really impressive, where they would have brought in their own ambulance, taken them away. Now, that'd been one hell of a psyop if they would have done that. But I think they showed that they could shoot people and get away with it. So the guy stands up there, threatens all this other crap. His videos are calling out people because they're a different colored crayon. He called together the Black Nation. You know, that guy is on a chessboard right now. He's been allowed to move his piece, so he's on the checkerboard. He occupied Louisville and got away with it. Now, what's going to happen at the 4-month deadline? I do not know. I do not know. This is a huge moment in America, because we all know that the Chinese military has every intention of controlling the resources on our continent here. They haven't hidden that from our ears. They've said so. And anybody who is working with the Chinese at this point are working with people who plan on occupying America and not sharing these resources with the Americans who are here now. Thus, Barr has said that he is searching the United States for Chinese spies. And consulates are being closed in China. Consulates are being closed in America. This is how wars are played out. We've got 2 aircraft carriers tooling around over there. We have deployed bombers in Alaska. We have deployed bombers in Guam. We have. Well, my tax dollars do. Every federal dollar I send, man, it doesn't go to the Federal Reserve. No, it goes to the military. Nancy Pelosi last week, and I asked different Democrats up north if they paid attention to Nancy Pelosi and what she said in an interview over a week ago on the weekend talk shows, where she talked into the mic, the Worldwide Politics, brought to you by Vince McMahon and Donald, and courtesy of Donald Trump and Trump Tower. I wonder if Trump's been back into the tower since it was compromised. That is a question. It has been compromised. Another public service announcement here at the FM 102.3. The Village of Mount Solon, Virginia. ChinookMed.com. 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 Purchase as much as we humanly possibly can. We need to pre-deploy it outside of EMS and support EMS. We can't have it centralized, because if we have everything centralized, the Chinese can come and acquire them. We have to start looking at possibly running our schools at a percentage as medical systems, and back to homeschooling and acquiring classrooms throughout the county. We should also have a medical unit, and we'll start. We can start to do well checks for anybody who wants to come in, get things checked. I know that prices are going up on test strips. I just gave over $60 for 100 of them from my meter. So, minimal cost would be like $1 for a test strip. That would also take whatever is not used for the test strip would go into the cost of the gloves, cost of the mask. But everybody should be going there, and students should learn how to use those poppers so you can test the blood with a strip. They should also be taught how to draw blood, so that we can have good people here in Virginia that can take care of neighbors. Because people are going to come out of the cities if things continue down this road. I thank the Lord that it was postponed until now. But stories are being floated about September being it, and they're using COVID as one of the stories. And people are talking how through August we're going to see the lockdowns return. Then there's also the rocks are falling from out of the heavens story. Brimstone from outer space. That's being floated. Then you have the escalation of the Chinese and the United States war. Okay? And we know that Wuhan is being decimated. China is buying up our corn. All right, gold is still holding at 1934. Bitcoin is now 10,365. The volatility index is up 26.3. And the volatility index is the S&P. Now, one of the most important indicators for bargains is gold silver ratio, and it is now 79.9. It is 4.18% down from Friday. That's a very important number, and it's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. We still have a controlled, organized society. So those are and then the bonds 10-year yield is at 58. It's down almost close to 2% from Friday. That means that we're going to have an open that is down. for retirement of all the bureaucrats and all the loyal 401k people. All hell's going to break loose when you guys recognize that banks are going to take everything from us, man. Banks are in charge. They own everything, right? Hal Turner went dark. Breaking news, Hezbollah anti-tank guided missiles attack on the Israeli-Lebanon border. Rutgers University, the shame of New Jersey, says grammar is racist. No, grammar is the one of the three legs of learning. You learn the grammar of a subject. So the NFAC has its own grammar, has its own logic, and they practice it by verbally running their pie holes. There's nothing written except for Twitter feeds on NFAC. So they're an oral tradition at this point to me. So in order to know what's going on, you'd have to keep your own journal of their leader, Jay. He's GMJ. GMJ calls himself the Grand Master. Yeah, and I'm Lord. You can call me Lord, baby. First Lord. Oh. Russia FSB thwarts mass shooting by Asian militant. Just so you know, in my mind's eye, that Russia is the wild card, and whichever side Russia comes in on, either the Chinese or the American, if they do it right away, they'll win. If Russia is cunning, then you're going to find yourselves fighting whoever survives the exchange between China and the United States. Will find Russia might come in and attack them afterwards. So we have to actually have a realistic vision that if after we do away with China and there's no more waves of Chinese soldiers washing up on our shores, coming out of the sky, that we might find ourselves seeing Russians landing on our shores and coming out of our sky. And they're not here to help. they're here to exploit. But the one thing that is in our favor about Russia is that Russia has its own resources, and they have made the point of, he's a little bit overweight. They have made the point of consolidating their resources for the Russian people. Explosions hit Iraq weapons depot used by pro-Iranian militia. And that's why we don't want to concentrate anything into an area. And so if I was sheriff, I would, in Augusta County, be buying all the military weapons I can get, and I'd be distributing them to every 18-year-old and above, 2 weapons at minimum. One that is ready to leap to their hands at a moment's notice. And the second one would be hidden. And you would have to, amongst your group, test each other, see if your hiding place is worth it. Extreme heat. Con Ed urges conservation. Extreme heat. Con Ed urges illiberals to be conservative. New York City residents look for ways to keep cool. Wah, wah. Extreme heat. See what happens when we don't pay Al Gore? You need to pay me. Hey, where's that blood I drink? High heat warning. New Jersey, New York City will be the hottest year so far. No. It's the hottest day this year so far. Bulletin, extreme and urgent, and this is where that's the only thing he had up, and that's behind a paywall. And Hal Turner, I can't pay him. He called for the murder of judges, but he said that he was supposed to. Well, they didn't step in and tell a judge not to be scared. So, fear. This judge who was afraid, a pansy, who put Hal Turner in jail. Yeah, you're not allowed to threaten a judge, right? They're gods. But those judges are all members of the bar, so that's treason. And that's where we have to deal with it. But in the judge's eyes, you're chattel. And when the chattel doesn't agree, he goes out and buys chattel. So any county that allows irregularities in voting, it's the judge's fault. He's in charge. The circuit judge, the seat is in charge. They run the elections. Augusta County ripped that part out of their annual financial report. Comprehensive annual financial report. The last one I looked at for Augusta County, and if you guys go look and you find it, they removed that section which was not accountable to the people who registered to vote. So when you elect to register to vote, you've stepped outside the common law system, and now you are property of the circuit court. And when the circuit court feels threatened, they go out and buy votes. So, and that's the reason they want to do it in secret. So the new Virginia plan should include people filling out affidavits and going down to the courthouse and then doing it in front of, or going to the registrar, having the registrar sign that you signed it in front of them. And then you take that and go down to the circuit court and put it into the court case for the person you elect to handle your affairs at what level you want them to handle. And so, and if you don't want to elect anybody to handle your affairs, don't elect them. You're a free man on the land, as long as you're not registered to vote. And that's my free man on the land opinion. One of the good people of Virginia, and you're domiciled in Virginia, not registered in Virginia, right? You can hire somebody at will to handle your affairs when interacting with those who are wards of Virginia. Because when you elect somebody to do something, you become a ward. Don't let them touch you on the shoulder, man. I made a point of always showing up with the lawyer to my right. And when he put me to his right, I stepped out and went around and got behind him and put my hand on his shoulder. On his shoulder, putting him as my point man for the court to detain. He didn't like that. He knew that. I mean, he looked back at me, gave me that look. Like, so make a scene here. No. And the judge did not make him rearrange the players. I didn't. Nobody got rearranged. So just keep that in mind, man. And breaking news. So everything is seems to be deteriorating at a rate faster than most people thought would be occurring. The churches are closed. The masks are on. And the barbarous pirates came in and threatened Louisville. We need a Thomas Jefferson to send out the Navy and deal with this barbarous pirate, the barbarian pirates, the barbarous pirates. Came to Louisville. They called themselves the Black Nation, and they named their militia NFAC. Yeah. I did enjoy the Twitter jokes where I saw one person take a picture of, or one of the handouts given on gun safety by a gun organization. You know, it really showed that everybody who showed up on 120 in Virginia, which was the birth of the New Virginia Plan, and every county that is now enacting laws that are trespassing on the good people of Virginia. Well, you're surrounded. So, take that for what it's worth. I do applaud the courage of the sheriff of Culpeper County. He has stepped forward, and he made it clear that he is taking volunteers, and he prefers prior law enforcement that know how to do background checks. To get involved.
Sheriff, thanks for coming on the program, sir. It's great talking with you today.
Glad to be with you.
Well, listen, we've got a special session coming up here in just a few weeks in the state of Virginia. There's a lot of talk that House Bill 961, Governor Northam's gun ban, magazine ban, suppressor ban is going to come back up for a vote. And I noted with great interest yesterday something that your office is doing. You all are now looking for volunteer background investigators, right?
Correct.
Are these two items related in any way, Sheriff?
Well, they certainly are. Just continuation of what I said I would do back in December of 2019. You know, if those bills are passed to ban high-cap mags, so-called assault weapons and so forth that appear to be pretty clearly unconstitutional, and without going into too much detail with that, yes, we have to prepare for that. So now's the time to screen and properly do the backgrounds and hire the right people that will then be screening those potential new deputies in the future. So we're looking for retired or current law enforcement officers willing to volunteer their time to serve as background investigators in the future after the next session if those weapon bans are passed.
Do they need to be residents of Culpeper County, or can they be from adjoining counties or other parts of the state?
No, there's no restriction. Just like the future reserve deputies that might want to apply for that status, the background investigators the same way. We can have deputies work residents of any county in the state. The background investigators, I've had contact from people of agencies as far north as Fairfax and south and east of us, Fredericksburg and other areas. People who work for the federal agencies as well that are willing to jump in and help out. A lot of true patriots that see this as a very strong attack on the Second Amendment, and they're willing to jump in and give of their time to help us properly screen and get the work done quickly when what I imagine will be thousands of applications come in if it's passed in the next session.
I imagine you're right. And the fact that, again, you've already had such a strong response from, current and former law enforcement saying, yeah, I'm ready to help. I mean, that to me is just another indication of how unpopular these proposals and frankly, these new gun control laws are in much of the state of Virginia. It might have, the backing of folks in Northern Virginia, maybe in the Richmond area and some of the bigger cities, but throughout most of the state, I think that Virginians are flat out opposed to what the state legislature's been doing here and what the governor's been up to.
That's exactly right. Well, nationally, across the nation, you have those urban areas that, in Democrat, liberal strongholds, but the rest of the country, by and large, is like Virginia. Our greatest portion of our state, of our country, understand the need and don't need to go into deep detail with that. But understanding that, you got a lot of people who feel very strongly and are willing to pitch in, and that's in every way possible. You know, we have people, thousands across the country, across the state, willing to donate money as well as time to make sure that this process goes forward correctly, because it could serve as a clear model for other states when the same kind of attacks come over the place in other states.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, I just mentioned on the program a couple of minutes ago that Senator Tim Kaine and Senator Mark Warner have introduced federal legislation called the Virginia Plan to Fight Gun Violence Act of 2020 or something like that, calling for, federal universal background checks, federal red flag laws, federal one gun a month laws, basically everything that passed in the state of Virginia, they now want to replicate at the federal level. So, even if you live in, someplace like Utah or something, you think, I'm safe, this is never going to happen here. Don't be so sure about that. But I did want to ask you, you said that not only are these volunteer background investigators able to come in from outside of Culpeper County, but if it gets to this point where you're, swearing in reserve deputies, those deputies will not have to live in Culpeper County either. Is that correct?
Oh, that's correct. I've said from the beginning, I'll reiterate just so everyone's clear, because I want my citizens that elected me and put me in office and those that I'm sworn to serve to understand they are obviously my priority. So first comes, we will screen and try to work through. For example, we have over 5,000 concealed carry holders in the county. So those will be our first ones we'll dive into that have applied, and at that point want to screen those and get them on board, covered as soon as we can, and then the remainder of any other residents as well, which I imagine will be thousands. Once we've taken care of our own community, its citizens, then we'll take on the task of others from outside Culpeper, which that can be enormous from what I understand. We're looking at, which is fine. We're committed to it in the long haul, but people outside of Culpeper residents would have to understand it's going to take a bit longer for them. Now, how they go about preparing for that, if there's gun ban planned and when it takes effect, well, I just suggest that they think about the law and come up with their own plans, and we will work through them as rapidly as we can. And I say all that, I know that the absolute governor and his cronies that are trying to pass this, but they need to know that a fight's coming to push back legally, properly. I have that authority as a sheriff, and I hope Senator Warner understands. I pray that Daniel Gage gets elected and takes that seat, but God forbid he stays in. And they try this at the federal level. I hope the rest of the country, which I know some sheriffs are listening, we need one sheriff in each state for him to do what I'm doing here, and we can certainly push back on it at the national level as well. And they should know that fight's coming. There's a lot of sheriffs that feel as I do across the state. I'm not alone. I happen to be the only voice speaking loudly at this point, but there's a lot of others quietly watching and are willing to step up at the right time.
I was going to say, and I have to say, first of all, as a resident of not Culpeper County, Virginia, I'm glad to know that I'm still eligible. I might not be first in line, but I'm glad to know I'm at least still eligible. Hopefully you don't have any beard requirements for your reserve deputies, but I'm willing to give it a trim if need be. But have you heard from other sheriffs around the state of Virginia or around the country who may not have said anything publicly, but they're asking, all right, what are you doing here, Sheriff? And how do I do something like this?
Oh, absolutely. I've talked to a number of them. I won't say their names, but many others that are interested and are looking, doing their own research on how to go about it similarly in their state and their counties. And that I'll just say there's others here in Virginia who want are interested in doing something similar, but just aren't ready to make that step at this point. But I hope, and that's the key. We want to do this right. We've been very methodical, looking at all the ins and outs of what to do to safeguard this program we're going to implement and the risks that it runs. And it's naturally going to have their attackers, but we're talking about good citizens currently owning guns that suddenly will be outlawed in the months to come. And it doesn't mean that their behavior day to day, having those weapons at home, is going to change. You're not going to settle and become more dangerous. As for them taking an oath, having an ID, a badge, and so forth, they're not going to be out on the street riding in patrol cars, making arrests, traffic stops, and that's not the intent. Never has been. And to the people who are absurd in what they're trying to accuse or say about the risk and so on, I just say, take a deep breath, first check yourself and realize you're not the sheriff I am. If you want to be sheriff, run for election. I'm not a fool and understand clearly the risks that are involved and the seriousness of what we're going to do. And we're going to make it crystal clear to anyone that takes that oath and takes that opportunity that there are extreme limitations as to when they would be called up, if ever need be, for the use of them, their weapons, and so forth that they're going to provide at their own expense. They may never be called up, but they will certainly volunteer their time, perform duties, if they will, as a reserve deputy and other tasks throughout the year going forward as policy will dictate. And no, the citizen can rest easy that the day uniformed and armed doing law enforcement will be responsible instead. They won't be suddenly assisted by some plainclothes militia or whatever the names they like to tag onto these groups. It's really absurd, but that, they have to attack something. They have nothing else to attack in my logical approach to this because they're angered. The governor, everyone's been angered at the fact that I've never said I won't enforce the laws they pass. A lot of other sheriffs have, and I'm that one guy who has said, no, I'm just going to use the authority I have. You use yours, and I'm going to use mine. And it infuriates them that I have a logical, legal approach to circumvent what they're trying to do in violating their constitutional rights.
Absolutely. Well, listen, I know that the intent is not to infuriate. The intent is to protect those rights. And I appreciate everything that you're doing. I frankly, I wish the governor and some of these Democrats in Richmond would actually reach out to you, would talk to you, would get another perspective here. But I know they're not interested in that.
Well, it's funny you say that because today, as we speak, in about 15 minutes, the governor will be in Culpeper County visiting a local lake for whatever purpose. My phone's not rang, but I will say that once again to him. It's not personal. If he or any of his staff or anyone in the legislature ever wants to talk and have a rational conversation and really focus down on the issues, I think there are some things we can talk about that would, I think, be easier for them to approach in what they're trying to do. Now, I'm not saying to ever give an inch when it comes to the fact that we do have enough gun laws on the books. There's plenty of restrictions there. But I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I'm just saying that, they're just so much in the obstructionist column. They don't want to sit down and have those conversations. And really, all they're doing is waiting now to see what happens in November. If the president's reelected, I have a feeling you're going to see a whole lot of guys in the legislature backpedaling in the next session and not wanting to pass that ban. And if he were to be defeated, then they're going to be full steam ahead, and there's definitely going to be a need for this program.
I think that's right. Listen, Sheriff, again, I appreciate you joining me today. Appreciate everything you do, and look forward to talking to you again here in the very near future, sir.
Thank you. It's good talking to you, Cam.
Appreciate the sheriff spending some time with us today, and I imagine we'll be talking quite a bit with the sheriff in the weeks and months ahead. Before we get to today's Armed Citizen story, our good deed of the day, and our Recidivist report, another reminder, President Trump with a huge announcement for his top supporters. He'll be celebrating the 2020 Republican National Convention this summer, and he wants you to enter for your chance to join him at the convention. If you win, his team will cover the flight, hotel, and give you VIP passes for yourself and a guest. All you have to do is text ARMS to 88022 today for your chance to meet President Trump at the convention. Again, that is ARMS, as in bearing arms, ARMS to 88022 to enter to win this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to be his special guest, paid for by Donald J. Trump for President Incorporated. Okay, so on.
I think Donald Trump canceled the election convention. Yeah, he canceled the convention. There's a ship out in the harbor. Yeah, there they come. Here we go. Huh? Looks like OBS is frozen. Oh. Quack. Quack. It's not OBS. I'm looking at DLive. I'm confused. They're both the backgrounds are black. Hey, thank you, Buckshot. I appreciate the lemons throughout the day. 3 of them today. Thank you very much. Thank you. Keep that velocity of lemons occurring. So, did you, this is a question for you, Buckshot. NFAC. For Buckshot. NFAC. Question mark. Mm-hmm. Or sodomized. Yeah. Buckshot laughs at his own joke. Wow, 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 wow. NFAC. Sodomized. Drudge. Walmart bans Nazi face masks. Woman maces couple for bare face in the park. Some police resist enforcing mandates. How piece of cloth has America going mad? Dilemma of COVID's second wave. CNN. Experts urge USA to shut down. Europe. Back on alert. Luck. Genetics. Italian islands spared from outbreak. Latin America leads world in cases. They didn't shoot him by accident, in my opinion. Buckshot. What the Black Nation did is that they mustered. They chose 3 patsies or ferreted out 3 people that they thought were infiltrators. Went to the municipal building, stood on the stairs, shot them, and then exfiltrated them out to the police. They demonstrated that they could shoot 3 people and be in control. Yeah, accident my ass. That was no accident. It was an accident as far as anybody who was watching from the outside was seeing it. I guarantee that Jay brags eventually. Yeah, And, well, see, they have this quote where come on. How do I close your ass? They gave a ultimatum. They gave the Attorney General Cameron 4 weeks to finish his investigation. Yeah, and the guy has threatened everybody under the sun, including his own people, and accuses everybody under the sun of being evil except for him, and he's the grand judge. Yeah, well, that's because they were ready to fight. It was no accident. As soon as you have the safety off and one in the chamber, that's on purpose. It's on purpose, baby. Yeah, man. I had the safety off, one in the chamber, and oops, it killed that woman. Still on purpose. I don't care what the BS is. They showed they had control of the situation 100%. They called out everybody and their mother to come out and shoot him. The guy barely said that, I'll shoot you. That's what he did. He said, I'll shoot you. Come on, man. I'll shoot you. It's time to be shot. Come on out. This guy said, I'm going to show up in Louisville, Kentucky with my homies. I dare you to come out and stop me. I dare you. So the fact that those 3 people got shot, he's responsible for it. There's no accident. It was a top-down, orders given from him situation. He led the parade, man. He calls himself Grand Master. Yes, they're barbarous pirates. While they exclaim that they have the protections of the Constitution, he plans on trespassing on entire segments of society. And for all what he said and all his running his pie hole, it doesn't matter why he's showing up where he is. He doesn't want America to be America. He's a typical communist. He shows you the Constitution and demands his rights, and then wipes his ass on it with it when he's shooting you in the head. He's called everybody cowards. I watched his videos. I don't know if he left them up, but he vacillated. He went back and forth. Yeah, you can. The revolutionary spirit. When you get down to it, at the end of the day, there's good and there's evil. And you know evil by its acts. You know good by its acts. So as I'm winding down here and turn over FM 102.3 to the Brewer family, Austin usually opens up the show. Sometimes Dad does. Just don't be fooled. They attacked all throughout the United States, and this guy right here is in competition with Black Lives Matter. All right, D-Live. It's just you and me, baby. We're off of FM 102.3. The Brewer family is taking over. All right. The Bolsheviks are to blame. They're to blame. They're not to blame. They're not to blame. No. The Bolsheviks told me that it's my fault that they had to shoot me in the head. And either I'm going to confess to making them shoot me in the head, or they're going to kill me trying to get me to confess. So either way, I'm going to die. One's just quicker than the other. The Bolsheviks are coming, man. They're here. They're all over. You'll know a Bolshevik when they run up to you in public and bark at you. Think that they can trespass. You know. 6 feet. That's very good to know. Right now, the governor has told everybody to stay 6 feet away in the common areas. Okay. In the common way, 6 feet. Gotcha. 6 feet. No problem. That's right. And people do act exactly like they do on the highway with little buggies at their hands. They have the same kind of mentality. They'll cut in front of you. They'll cut you off. They'll slow you down. Then they'll get indignant when you roll by them. And Black Lives Matter, Antifa, all have guns now. They're shooting people or trying to shoot people, using weapons to intimidate people, and calling it peaceful. This is not an attack, said the government when they were burning down the Branch Davidians. Come out with your hands up as they shot them as they came through the door. They just mowed them down. So, I hope Sheriff Smith pays attention to what I think matters. We should all be working in county levels and start building our most important assets. If you have an abortion clinic within the county, you should kick it out. You should remove it. Yeah, check and see if they have a business license. Because a lot of these things that go on in America don't have licenses. They don't have business license. They don't display it. Should ask to see the business license for them to be taking money to do abortions. Whose name is it in? Who did the paperwork? That's what matters. They don't have a business license, send the sheriff out there to close them down. Until you get rid of the business license requirement, right? It's up to the counties to enforce the business license. Well, make sure they have a business license. Does that bank have a business license? You'd be surprised how many storefronts don't have business license, and the local inspectors don't go in there looking for it. Or they don't know about it, so they never stop there. Yeah. Same people who told you Hillary was going to win by a landslide. Telling you Biden's going to win by a landslide. And that something that you have a 99.97% chance or greater of survival is worth you being muzzled, no longer assembling. You will wear a dirty diaper for the cause. You know, at least people unknowingly put masks up on their dashboard and up on their mirror, and that is actually killing off stuff in it. You know, the UV light, the heat, right? All right. I've got a new one. Let's see what's going on here. Buckshot, he's throwing me a video. He's never really thrown me a whole lot of bad video. Let's see if this video, how it rates. Will it make the screen? Otherwise, you can just go and do it yourself. It's in the chat. Oh, it's a 2-minute video. No. Epoch Times commercial first. Epoch. Needler. Oh, Nadler saying that riots are a myth. Hold on.
That's happening in Portland right now. There's riots.
That's a myth that's being spread only in Washington, D.C.
About Antifa in Portland?
Yes.
Sir, there's videos everywhere online. There's fires and riots. They're throwing fireworks at federal office. Violence across the whole country. Do you disavow the violence from Antifa? That's happening in Portland right now. There's riots.
That's a myth that's being spread only in Washington, D.C.
About Antifa in Portland?
Yes.
Okay, I will translate Nadler's what he's really saying is I'm solipsistic, and if I say it doesn't exist, then it does not exist. Things only exist if I say they exist. And I will tell you it's a myth. No, you're not going to confuse me with information. I'm on message. He truly needs an umbrella, and a top hat, and a cigarette, and a cigarette holder. He really does. He is he is murderous, whatever. Great. The guy he looks just like the Penguin. Yeah, right, Penguin. Oi, oi. Instead of he's oi, oi, oi vey, oi vey, oi vey. Oh yeah. Well, no, he's a judge. He's a judge. He's degreed. He has a piece of paper that says that he is the law. I am the law. Who runs Bartertown? Nadler. Who runs Bartertown? He does. Yeah, Nadler. He walks away. And he waddles too, dude. Here, let me go back to the beginning of this. And all right, D-Live, it's up and happening for you.
True. There's violence across the whole country. Do you disavow the violence from Antifa that's happening in Portland right now? There's riots.
That's a myth that's being spread only in Washington, D.C.
About Antifa in Portland?
Yes.
Sir, there's videos everywhere online. There's fires and riots. They're throwing fireworks at federal officers. DHS is there. Look online. It gets crazy, Mr. Nadler.
He's lucky he didn't break his leg jumping off the curb.
Thinks it's fake news.
Antifa's a myth.
He didn't say fake news. He said it's a myth. It's a myth perpetrated here in Washington, D.C. Really? You know, it'd be funny. That's a Twilight Zone episode where he gets kidnapped and thrown in the middle of what's going on at the courthouse there in Portland. Have him arrive there by the angel of teleportation. Really, Mr. Nadler, a myth. Then the myth won't kill you. Yes. No. He is the knight of neat. Neat. Hi, come back here, you coward. Neat. How Ruth Bader Ginsburg and Supreme Court could play role in presidential race? How they could? All of them have been stolen. The entire judicial system is controlled by the bar. The entire medical system is controlled by medical license. I mean, come on. You have entire segments of our society that the communists have taken control of. The entire layer of Donald Trump's administration and the bureaucracy at large is controlled by the senior executive service. Welcome, my friend, to the show that never ends. Hey, step inside. Come along, come all. Dude, I loved Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Matter of fact, I like them now. The show that never ends. Dude, the best song is Peter Gunn, because I'm a drummer, and that's the best song. Wow. Wow. Aye. Hoi vey. Let me see. I can go to YouTube. I'll type in hey, Bill Holter, inflate or die. Hey, they have a new song for 2020. Let's see what the most popular video is. Ooh, $20 for radio. Oh, yeah. Here we go. Strike. 8.8. Somebody put up coin holders. Let's see. When I do full screen, it freezes OBS.
Gentlemen, prepare to defend yourselves.